It's gonna be a day. Oh, boys and girls, look at what we got going on. It's a beautiful. Wait, what the fuck is today? Today's Wednesday. We have a beautiful Wednesday afternoon. I had to work today because the essential crap is, we still in a weird time. We got the whole kin COVID. The kin COVID. You see what I did there? We got the whole kin COVID thing still running amok out there. I know it's a serious topic, but I kind of like to do a little bit of lighter side here. So why not? Fan Roundtable. Check this shit out, boys and girls. Stirring the pot. Don Kincaid. I'm all amped up, as the Woo Crew would say. I'm all amped up and stirring the pot with Don Kincaid. And my very special guests, if you will, I have. And I'm going to start off because not just myself, but I have friend Erick, who's also repping the superstar. We love Big Juicy. Welcome, Big Juicy, to the Roundtable.
Hey.
It's a pleasure to have you. And I'm going to go right to my friend Erick. He's playing he's kind of playing hooky, I think. He took a little time off to come and hang out with his friends and play. I cannot thank you enough for coming in and hanging out with us, friend Erick. Always a pleasure.
Always a pleasure, my friend.
Oh, and you didn't have to sip one of those talking to Jim and drink water before we hit record. So you're only on number 1 on the pale ale. Is that what's going on? That's right. Get you all stressed out before we start. And then I want to get to a brand new addition that we have to the Roundtable because I like to mix it up a little bit. And I don't know jack about my friend here, but I do know he's a good guy, loves wrestling, has a lot of fun. The only thing I do know about him is he does interviews, and I can't wait to dive into that. What other things he has going on, I have no clue. We're all going to find out together. Please welcome Ryan, and I don't want to say your last name because I am going to fuck that up. So I'm just going to call you Ryan. If you can, go ahead.
Well, Mr. Kincaid, let me make it easy for you, and you can call me by my work name. My name is Davis Wright, and it's a pleasure to be here.
Oh, whoa! I didn't mean to throw out the shoot name, if you will. Davis Wright. I apologize. Wow, already stepping on toes, friend Erick. Holy fuck! And to round this off, oh man, never mind. There's 2 left. I always want to forget one guy specifically. I'm gonna go with. I'm gonna go with. We don't have the ringleader, as I call him, of the Woo Crew. You're gonna learn about the Woo Crew, Mr. Wright. Now we have one member of the Woo Crew. We have Troy Martins. Thank you for coming and spending some time with us, Mister.
Was looking forward to it all day. Woo!
Woo! You got to give him a good little woo there. There's nothing wrong with that. Because wrestling's kind of gone. We got to do something. We got to have some fun. And now I will round this whole thing out. And man, you guys must be sick of me fucking talking. Look who we got here. We've got ring announcer extraordinaire Matt DaCorte. What's up, baby?
Don, it's been a while, man. I haven't seen you since March 6th.
March, that's an inside joke we got. March 6th. It was really last Wednesday. Never mind him.
It was my Botchamania moment.
Botchamania 2020. That was awesome. Davis, you kind of gave a little face. What's going on there, my friend? When I announced Mr. DaCorte.
Well, you announced him as ring announcer extraordinaire, and I may have to object to that because I myself am a ring announcer as well. So we'll have to possibly put our ring announcing skills to the test one day.
Ooh, ring announcer battle. Rap battle, except for ring announcing. I like it.
My bad. Didn't mean to start off again. 2 wrong foots. I am fucking killing this thing today. Oh my God. I'm sorry that you left work early for this crap, friend Erick. Oh my God.
It's worth it. Trust me.
Just a little recap of what we do here for the people that don't know, because I hope that just my dad and his dog Jake aren't watching this stuff, because we like to reach out and gain new fans on people that we meet and such, and people that we talk about and promotions on this show. All we do here is we talk wrestling. We lift up our favorite promotions. We lift up our favorite talent. We might even have a smidge of a ring announcer battle before we get out of here. That would be fucking awesome. Get a throwdown right here on Stirring the Pot on the Fan Roundtable. That would be pretty cool. But I want to start this whole thing off because, we all get away from work, from the bull crap, from, sometimes, sometimes from family. We just need a break. And I'm just saying, that's what wrestling does for us. So this is my little escape for about an hour or so. And we just like to kick back and have a lot of fun. So I'm going to go right to our new edition because I want to start this off right. I want to introduce my friend Davis Wright. Is that correct? I want to say that correctly. Davis Wright. Is that correct? Oh, shit. I just lost our new friend as I'm trying to talk to him. This is going to be a rock. Oh, wait. Did he come back?
He's back.
I'm back.
Right. Oh, I thought I pissed you off with the whole ring announcer extraordinaire thing. I'm so glad that you came back.
I was gonna say, two rights don't make a wrong.
I see what you did there. Mr. Davis Wright, I really appreciate you taking some time out because I know you're a busy man. But I'd really like to dive into who you are, what you got going on, because if I'm not to understand, you do a little bit of interviewing on the side. You're doing a ring announcer. What do you got going on? What do you do? What promotions do you work for? Wait. Give us some Davis Wright stuff.
Absolutely. First and foremost, I am the host of the Work Into a Shoot podcast. You can find it on all of your podcast forums, Apple, Spotify, Google, what have you. I've got about, give or take 50 episodes up already. So you can definitely partake in those when you got some free time. I'm also as I said, a ring announcer for NCW based out of Dedham, Massachusetts.
Ooh, I know NCW.
As well as RWA and the Proving Ground, usually working out of the Chop Shop in Pawtucket, Rhode Island, and a little promotion called Elkmania up here in the Salem, Beverly area.
Oh, and I see some of the fine talent that go through the Chop Shop and such, the NCW, that also are working over at the Elkmania, if you will. I see the relationships must be nice out there to see all of those talent really work multiple promotions like that.
It's absolutely amazing, some of the talent that we bring in. A lot of the regulars, from the Pawtucket area, the southern Mass, Rhode Island area, and some of the good talent up here on the North Shore area as well.
Mm-hmm. Now, I've gone to the Chop Shop quite a bit. I can't say that I'm a regular, but I used to be quite a regular for a little bit there. I've never seen you ring announce. Where the fuck have I been? How long have you been over at the Chop Shop ring announcing, my friend?
Well, I'm, I guess you could say I'm still a little green as far as being in the business. I've been in the business for just about a year now. Oh man. So you're all, as the Kulik would say, you're all amped up. You want to get your work in. You want to be able to ring announce as much as you can. Oh, this is going to be an amazing. There's a pterodactyl flying around here, and I'm going to get him. I swear. I would really love, and I don't mean to really dig it all, a little ring announcer battle before we get out of here of some kind. Maybe ring announcing Big Juicy to the ring would be a good task. That would be amazing. Hey, friend Eric, you be careful there.
Talk about stirring the pot, huh?
I think that would be fun. Maybe see. Yeah, we could see a ring announce Big Juicy coming into the ring. That would be amazing. I can't wait. Hey, Mr. Troy Martins, you stop over there. Now, Mr. Matt DaCorte, could you tell us some of the promotions that you work for, because you're a fine talent on the scene right now, and tell us how long you've been in the biz, if you will.
Oh well, I have to say it's probably a little over 2 years now. As many know, I got my start at Paradise Alley Pro Wrestling down here in East Haven, Connecticut, my hometown. Started doing commentary with the Guardian of Chaos, Big Daddy, one of my friends and mentors. And Mark Adam Haggerty was the ring announcer there when I started. And as we all know, he blew up, and well-deserved, obviously. He's A-plus talent, S-class human being, great friend, great mentor. And when he's started getting booked all over the place, there was times that the promotions that he couldn't make it to anymore, and PAPW was one of them. So I started filling in for him, and lo and behold, I was pretty good at this ring announcing thing. So, he passed the torch to me there, and he held a social media seminar, which was very insightful. He posts about them all the time. Honestly, if you want to learn how to use social media, hit up Mark Adam Haggerty. It works. It really does. And then so I went up to Test of Strength, got introduced to Slick Wagner Brown. Shout out to Slick. Started working there. And actually, Ref Bill, I know that name kind of gives you some night tremors there, Don. But Ref Bill got me in touch with Honest Abe up at Kevin Landry's place. So I do Shut Up and Wrestle up there too. That's how I met Big Juicy. Big Juicy! And,
the gauntlet has been thrown down.
You guys are bringing it out of me today. So yeah, I did that. And then I also, through some other connections, I added a little hardcore to my repertoire in one WCWE. So yeah, that's where I branched out to. I was looking forward to branching out to more places this year, but then well, you know.
I do want to touch upon something that you did mention along the way. Mr. Mark Adam Haggerty he was in person starting seminars as wrestlers would do on a regular basis, but he was doing it on a different level. He was doing social marketing, and not only that, he was giving you tools to use to make videos, get in touch with your other side, your marketing side, if you will, to be able to sell yourself and brand yourself and do some cool stuff on social media with just apps on your phone, because he doesn't use a computer, just like I do. Every single thing I do is on my phone. What the fuck is a computer nowadays? I haven't seen one in probably 10, 15 years for crying out loud. But my point being is, laptops are a different animal. So a lot of people still running with the laptop thing. But my point being is, once the whole Kincaid thing hit us and we couldn't get out there, Kincaid, I love that. But then he took his whole thing and he put it on how do I say this? Social media form, if you will, and you can buy it for $20. Now, not only that, not only can you buy that for $20, but you get his technical services. You want to bounce something off him? Email him anytime, 24/7. He's there for you, and it's such an amazing $20. I bought it, and it's some of the most well spent $20 I've ever spent in my entire life, and I'm getting all tongue-tied because Mark Adam Haggerty shot like a rocket, but he put in the time, he put in the effort, he put in the work. Talk about a marketing genius. I got a fucking lighter sitting in my dresser that I've never even lit but one time with his face on it, for crying out loud. I mean, that's what we're talking about.
I've got two.
Calendars, you name it. He was pepping them out. So and I hated to kind of just take a spot and leave Mr. Mark Haggerty on idle here, but if I didn't, I would feel remiss, because I love me some Mark Adam Haggerty. And check out that seminar for $20. I am telling you, some of the best spent money you'll ever spend for wrestling wise, and try to brand yourself as a wrestler. Even if it's a manager, a ring announcer, you name it. Even if promoters, pick that thing up. You would be surprised on what you would learn from just that seminar alone. And it's amazing. God, I am rambling about that, but I am so excited about that stuff, because what a fantastic tool that he's given us for $20. I'm out of fucking breath. Friend Erick,
yes,
talk
sir.
to us about, you got all amped up yourself. Left work early, playing a tad bit of hooky there. What do you say? My cat got ran over. I got to run home real quick. How'd you get out of work? I'm very curious.
It was simple. I had 6 extra hours of vacation time. I didn't have a lot of work to do, and I had a friend in need, so I said, I'm out.
Wow, just like that.
I said, screw it. I'm going to help Dawn do the roundtable and join my friends.
That is
around doing nothing.
That's the love right there, Mr. Wright. That's what we're talking about right there.
Plus,
Troy Martin.
I needed a cold one.
Troy Martins, he's representing the Woo Crew today, baby. Let's talk a little bit of wrestling. What have you watched? Because there's been some things going on. in the world of wrestling? Have you been watching AEW, WWE, you name it, whatever's going out there? Have you been watching anything lately?
I've been watching everything. I watched TakeOver on Sunday. I thought that was a really good show. Really good show. I don't know what NXT's secret is, but even without fans, they put on a great pay-per-view.
It still seems to work, right? It's kind of weird.
Yeah, whatever they're doing, their production, Triple H knows what he's doing. He puts on a great show. All the matches were intense. I mean, they let the women triple threat main event. I was a little pissed that Charlotte lost the title, but then I watched Raw, and I'll watch AEW tonight. I usually watch AEW on Wednesday nights. I don't watch NXT. So
you don't watch NXT at all, just the pay-per-views?
I keep up with NXT. I mean, I'll flip over during commercials, but on Wednesday nights I mainly focus on AEW.
Okay. NXT was a hot topic on last Wednesday's fan roundtable. I'm glad you brought up TakeOver because that was a fine pay-per-view that they put together. Not only that, in your house, what an amazing setup. Todd Pellegrin or whatever the fuck I can never say his last name. He comes out. What a blast from the past. That was amazing. And that son of a bitch said he wasn't giving a house away. What the fuck? That's what In Your House is all about. Give us a fucking house, man. And I know I'm dropping a lot of F-bombs, but I'm all amped up.
I have to say, I laughed my ass off when he started to give me the 900 number, and then he looked over. He's like, what? There's no 900 numbers anymore? I almost pissed my pants when he.
Big Juicy, you are decked out in red today, baby. You're looking fantastic. Did you watch the TakeOver? Because I know I did, and it was a blast. I thought it was fantastic.
Oh yeah, no, I had it right on from the beginning when the pre-show started. I thought it was fantastic.
Now, I want to talk about just something specifically because it's hard to tell a story between a little guy and a big guy as long as you can do it right. And son of a bitch, Keith Lee, Johnny Gargano, holy crap.
Oh, my God.
An amazing, please, we're all popping here. I'm getting fucking chills on my arms right now. Big Juicy, talk to us how you thought that match specifically.
I could not get enough of that match. They had me, like, from the start, like, up and down, like every 2 seconds I was popping for something different. Not to mention, like, I am a huge Keith Lee fan. Like, I think he's like an incredible athlete, incredible ring presence, incredible just like he's like a total package in my eyes. And definitely someone to look out for. So like I just couldn't get enough of it.
I'm glad you said that because leading up to him being signed to NXT, I've had the pleasure of seeing Mr. Lee perform not only once, not only twice, but on multiple occasions through Northeast Wrestling. And during that time, he was going against Dijak. I'm not saying his last name because I hate it. He was going against Dijak in like a trilogy, if you will. It was effing amazing. And not only that, but they took it into NXT, which was really cool. I love seeing that continue from where it was on the independent scene. For me personally, being selfish on that end, because I saw the whole trilogy at NEW unfold. Watching Dijak getting spirit bombed from the second rope, and then Keith Lee took that, took my clip and pinned it to his Twitter for like 4 months straight. I mean, I was just like popping every fucking day of my life seeing Keith Lee with my clip just sitting there on his Twitter locked. It was awesome. So I'm glad you brought up Keith Lee. Amazing, amazing talent. Let's get down to our newest addition, Mr. David Wright. You're talking about some fine promotions and some of the hats that you wear. Why not become a wrestler? Why not become a manager or a referee? Why the ring announcer and such? And do you also wear any other hats? Because sometimes the ring announcers, they do other things within the company.
As a matter of fact, I do. As far as wrestling, getting in the ring, I am a 41-year-old man, and I think that time passed me by. So I'll let the young kids do that for now. But managing is a possibility.
Tell that to the Undertaker.
What's that?
Tell that to the Undertaker.
Managing is definitely a possibility for me. Also writing. I've kind of dabbled in writing a couple of storylines, something that hasn't, obviously with the world gone to hell, we can't really put anything together, but I'm giving it a shot. I also do some play-by-play commentary as well for some of the promotions I work for. And I mean, it's all inclusive for me. I've been a fan of this sport since I was 5 years old, and I'm just happy to be a part of it now.
For all of us, I want to get who you work for promotion-wise, and don't use just the call letters. Use their full name, where they're located, so the people, not only us, can look them up, and you guys can get more eyes seen on the product and the talent, but then whoever's watching, we can also maybe get it a little bit wider here. So tell us of the few companies that you're working for right now.
Of course, I always take it for granted when I just shout out the letters that everybody knows.
Exactly.
So, first and foremost, NCW, that's Northeast Championship Wrestling. They're based out of Dedham, Massachusetts. They also run shows in Bristol, Rhode Island from time to time.
Is that your home base right there?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. JC Marks is the promoter there. He's the one that gave me my first shot at play-by-play. So I got to give him props. Also, the Proving Ground, which is based where I live in Peabody, Massachusetts. Derek Simonetti is the promoter there. He's recently taken a hiatus from the ring due to a neck surgery that he had.
Now, a quick pa Jose. I had Mr. Simonetti. He was on the show, and not only was he on the show, but he filled in last minute because I had a dropout, and he signed. Literally on my show, he signed the IWTV contract that he received right on Sir in a Pot. Look at that. I'm still getting goosebumps. I was so stoked that he did that on this show. I hate to interrupt, but I had to throw that in there.
No worries. IWTV, Proving Ground is available on IWTV. We did a special free-for-all show. We didn't charge the fans coming into the Chop Shop in Pawtucket. So we filled the place, obviously. And also no charge on the IWTV network for that show as well, which I was the ring announcer of. So if you want to see some of my handiwork, you can catch it there as well.
Wow, very cool.
Another promotion I work for, RWA, that is the Renegade Wrestling Alliance, also based out of Pawtucket. T Phoenix is the promoter there. He's also still semi-active in the ring. But his son, AJ, the phenomenal, the notorious AJP, is one of the best talents in the business in this area right now. He's only 18 years of age, and he's getting better and better every time I see him.
I will totally agree with you on that. I had him on the show as well. I couldn't wait to get him on the show because of he's grown up in the business, literally grown up in the business as a baby. Shit you not. So he's watched the psychology portion of the program ever since he's been growing up. When you can do that and not legally get in the ring, I think you have such a big advantage when you become a wrestler. And at the age of 18, when you sign that paper and you're like, I'm good, let's go. I think he has had a huge advantage because of that psychology and what it takes to become a wrestler. And I'm so glad that you mentioned his name. There's one more name I'd like to mention out of the Chop Shop because you said the RWA, Bobby Rossi. I love Bobby Rossi to mother effing pieces. I cannot talk enough about Bobby Rossi. And I look at those smiles. I know he's well loved around in that area. And I just wanted to mention his name. Again, another fine talent we had on this show. The Chop Shop, if you guys never been out there, for me, it's a 2-hour ride. And I used to go there quite regularly. Do yourself a favor. Take a ride one of these times. Have some fun. It's a very unique flavor. Love the whole environment. Get down to the Chop Shop or get up to the Chop Shop, however you want to put it. Because right here, Mr. Wright, we have a lot of Western Mass. We have Connecticut, and we have yourself from Rhode Island and such. So there's That's what we like to do, is get that diverse. Oh shit! I forgot our surprise guest. He's gonna shit on me. Oh my god, we got a talking. He's gonna fucking kill me. I don't oh my god. Holy shit. We gotta go get him real quick. Like, oh my goodness. Woo. I am sweating right now. Let's get him in. I was getting to know Mr. Wright and such. This is a beautiful conversation, and it kind of got away with us. Oh, he's coming right in. I am so glad.
Oh,
Look
shit.
who we have. Look at that pop for Mr. DaCorte. I knew that was going to happen.
Oh,
We
my
have
boy.
one. Dustin Flash Waller, right out of Paradise Alley Pro Wrestling. He's a fine homebred student that is becoming a superstar in his own right. Mr. Waller, I want to thank you for coming in, spending some time, and being our surprise guest on the Fan Roundtable, my friend.
Thank you very much for having me, Don.
I knew Mr. DaCorte was going to pop like a fan, and I got exactly what I expected. That was beautiful.
Keeping a kayfabe, Don. Couldn't have done it any better.
I'm sorry that I'm 6 minutes late. You know how Matt, he starts going and stuff. I mean, it is what it is. So anywho, we were having a lot of fun. We were talking a little NXT action. We were meeting our new friend, Mr. Wright, Davis Wright, if you will. He is I called Mr. Matt DaCorte ring announcer extraordinaire. He kind of took offense to it because he's also a ring announcer. He also does a little commentating and many other hats in wrestling. So if you're not familiar with each other, Mr. Wright, Mr. Flash Waller, here we are, sirs.
Mr. Waller. Very nice to meet you.
Now, Mr. Waller, he works at the PAPW, and he's been spreading his wings to other places like XWA, which I know you're familiar with, Mr. Wright, and a couple other fine promotions. So he's really making his name, spreading his wings, if you will. So I kind of want to start and just get this going here. Mr. Troy Martins, are you familiar with Flash Waller at all?
I have to say, unfortunately, no, I am not. I'm not familiar with Paradise. Was it Paradise Pro Wrestling or
Paradise Alley Pro Professional Wrestling?
Unfortunately, I'm not familiar with that, so I don't want to make any statements that I'm not familiar with. But can I find some of your action on YouTube and stuff like that? Because
Sure.
I'd like to look it up and see you in action.
Yeah, PAPW's been putting up all their channels on their YouTube channel. You go on YouTube and type in Paradise Alley Pro Wrestling, and they've been putting up so many matches. It's
look for his match with Sebastian Cage.
Yes,
that was the one from the alley.
Sebastian Cage, okay.
Yes, that's exactly where I was going.
Like,
yeah,
I might be a little biased, but no, that match was money.
I will
not at all, my friend. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Troy. I'm sorry.
I will definitely do that. I apologize. A lot of the promotions that I stick with are like been local, like PvP, Western Mass, Chaos Wrestling. So once wrestling comes back, that's one of my main goals is I want to expand and go see more promotions like NEW, a lot of other promotions in Connecticut. So I'm looking forward to that, but I'll definitely look up that match against Sebastian Cage. So.
Yeah, that was fun.
Absolutely. Now we are setting the bar very high, my friend. So that I have to say, and you're not being biased at all, Mr. DaCorte. What a fine match, and I know that was one of Mr. Waller's finest moments in wrestling. So since we're on the topic, Mr. Waller, give us your insight on that match.
Oh God, yeah, it was. I haven't really talked on that ever since it happened. It was kind of like a fluke thing. It wasn't really supposed to happen. We were doing for alley fights. We were trying to figure out guys to they just throw matches together. Like Matt knows, they throw matches together last second. You're like, hey, this is
all too well.
And I think it was a few months in advance. I think it was for the 2-year anniversary of alley fights.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was the one.
Yeah, I was approaching. They were like, hey, we want you and Sebastian Cage to go out. And it was cool to me because when I first started watching, like, if you want to say independent wrestling, it was PWA. Back like 2015 is when I first started getting into independent wrestling. He was one of the guys that I remember from there. So when I heard it was pretty cool because like people always talk about all the moments from like, oh, like you have the Roman Reigns face the Undertakers and all those kind of things, but like it was pretty cool to like have it all come full circle, to be like sitting in the crowd watching him, to eventually having to go on with him. And I remember when I told Don, you lost it when I told you that I was going with Cage.
I did. I popped just like Mr. DaCorte did when you came soireeing into our fan roundtable, because I'm very familiar with Sebastian Cage. I'm very familiar with Mr. Waller, and Mr. Waller's in his early stages of his career, and he has a fine style. One of those quick-paced moonsaults, 450s, springboards, and such. And whenever I heard that you were going against Sebastian Cage, I couldn't. I was like, that is a perfect candidate, a perfect opponent for Mr. Waller to not only shine, but maybe get over a little bit, because Sebastian Cage is a fine, and I do mean a fine worker in that ring. And not only that, but when we talked post event, sir, you kind of were like, you know what? I did some stuff I never expected in there coming, and it came from Mr. Cage throwing it at you. So those are the kind of experiences that you walk away from going against a guy like Sebastian Cage. So I was so glad that you went against him. You were a perfect opponent for him on the 2-year anniversary.
Oh yeah, it was awesome, because like you can even ask Matt. When Matt was just watching the shows, I've been at alley fights. Literally, like most of my matches have been at alley fights. Like forget about the main shows.
I remember your very first one.
Like, oh yeah, I've literally I've not skipped an alley fight since I first went to one. Like I don't know if I already said this, but like last year when I graduated high school, I literally had an alley fights at like on the night of my graduation. I went to my graduation with my gear underneath my cap and gown. So all my graduation pictures just have bright red underneath it, and everyone was like, "What are you doing?" Like, because no one believed me when I said that I had to leave for a match. I was serious, and I think that was for the King of Paradise, and I cannot miss this. So like I literally got my name called, and I got in my car and I flew to the arena, and I just had to be like, it was like I have not missed a single alley fight. So just being there for the 1-year anniversary and the 2-year anniversary, and God knows how many there's going to be. It's unreal.
Mr. Hunting, we call him friend Erick on the show. What a fantastic story from Flash Waller. Love hearing that kind of stuff. Yes, and that's why we do this fan roundtable and get some personalities in here, because as fans, we would never hear this kind of stuff at the events and whatnot. Sitting here, hearing a story like that, and I know you are probably the biggest center ring fan that I know. So I know that you're familiar with Flash Waller, but probably through center ring than anything. Is that correct to say, sir?
You know my go-to answer. I don't know him, but I'm aware of him because of center ring. If it weren't for Fogman, I wouldn't know half the people I know. But you know, I've seen you on center ring, you know, physically on there, and I've seen your stuff, you know, highlighted. And let me tell you, I mean, you got some talent in those feet of yours. You hip hop and fly everywhere, and it's amazing. And I like your stuff. I'll tell you that much.
Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
As Mr. Jim Ross would say, he's got some educated feet. Big Juicy, and I know you're a rising superstar yourself, very early in your career. Are you familiar with one Flash Waller?
I am. I've seen a lot of the footage from PAPW and stuff like that, so I have seen some of his matches.
Now he's high paced. He's what we call flippy-doo, if you will, on a lot of his stuff. But man, he keeps a good pace. And for a young, and I know the young guys are spry, but to keep up these paces that I've seen him in, especially, and I don't want to bring up no bad juju here, specifically Sweat, Blood, and Tears, when he went against Lucas Chase, I've never seen him in anything like that. His match was phenomenal because I never seen him in such a lengthy match before. So his cardio is good. His in-ring ability is solid, and it's becoming better and better. Now, Big Juicy, you're not a flippy-do kind of wrestler.
Nope.
That was quick and to the point. Now, hey, we're just kind of brainstorming, if you will, throwing stuff on the wall. Now, Big Juicy, she's at Shut Up and Wrestle. Mr. Waller, he's not that far from Shut Up and Wrestle. And I'm not saying nothing for nothing, but I know we like our singles competition. Look at what we got here. We could have maybe a fine intergender tag team match going on because of the personality. That's why I bring this to the table. Mr. Flash got a lot of personality, a lot of pizzazz coming out. Big Juicy, if you can't tell, she's got a lot of personality, got a lot of pizzazz going on. And I'm not saying, again, nothing for nothing. And I'm not a matchmaker. But, man, I think that would be a blast to have an intergender tag team match with Big Juicy and Flash Waller, kind of two opposites of the spectrum when it comes to wrestling. I think it would be a fine match for the fans. We would be winners. Just putting it out there.
Somebody book it.
Yeah. Someone call someone.
Yeah, someone call. I should. Maybe I will call somebody. Mr. Waller, are you up for stuff like that? And I know I'm putting you on the spot, but intergender wrestling isn't for everybody. Did I kind of put you on the spot there, or are you open to things like that?
Yeah, I feel like intergender wrestling is like a thing that just happens now. Like it's a norm now. Like you see it around. Like Impact Wrestling, they're even doing it all the time now. Like Tessa Blanchard was their heavyweight champion. Like they got so much stuff going on. And like if you've kept up with me, I've had like 2 tag team matches in my entire career. I've rarely had like any kind of tag experience. So like I am down to do any kind of tag match. Like just to take some steam off of myself. It's a little bit of a breather.
Man, that would be fun to see you guys take out the stupid ass Bike Club. That would be amazing. That would be awesome. And I hate to say those, I hate to use those 2 words together, but I did. Now, Mr. Wright, are you familiar with the fine young talent we have? And I know we're from two areas. We're way apart from each other, but I know you probably keep your eye on the pulse. Are you familiar with Mr. Flash Waller at all?
Sad to say that I am not. You guys speak high praises of him, though. I'm looking forward to looking up some of his action on YouTube.
Paradise Alley Professional Wrestling. Look it up. You'll find some great footage there. Not only that, but there was also when we were, they wanted to do a little something, and they put the IC championship up. It was the champion, Bull Dread, a veteran of the game, if you will, going against Big Jim Anderson, a monster. Holy crap. Outside, it was like this. You know what? I'm not even going to tell you anything. Mr. Wright, look it up for yourself. I think you'll enjoy the footage. Now, I'd like to ask you, is NCW or any of the promotions that you work for currently, are they putting out any stuff during the quarantine while we got some stuff going on? Because I've actually gone to Battlefront, recorded 2 matches, and we put them out for content. Have the promotions you're running with done anything like that?
Nothing new. Pretty much every promotion that I work for is on the nostalgia train right now. I know NCW is going way back in their archives to their beginnings. They're basically telling the story of how they got started and working their way forward. RWA, Renegade Wrestling Alliance, you can find a lot of their stuff on YouTube. I know that we are publishing pay-per-views that recently happened before the pandemic shut everything down. So you can find them at RWA, the number 4 EA, Eva, on YouTube. You can look up some great talent that we have there in RWA. And as far as the Proving Ground and Elkmania, they're both based up here in Massachusetts. We had shows planned shortly after the world got shut down. So those things were just kind of put on hold, and we're just waiting for everything to open back up, and we're just going to try to pick up where we left off at that point.
Gotcha. I cannot wait. We all can't wait. We are we're like a boiling pot just waiting to, simmer over. I mean, it's just like, holy crap. Now, I love this portion that we have brought, this little element that we have brought to the Fan Roundtable. I'd like to go round robin, and I cannot wait to start this with Mr. Matt DaCorte. I want to go round robin, and we like to maybe ask a question to our surprise guest because maybe we don't know him, or if we do, we'd like to get know him a little bit more. And if we don't know him, and I know Troy Martins and Mr. Wright absolutely don't know a whole lot about Mr. Flash Waller, but what I like to do is maybe go round robin and get one question from each person to get thrown at our surprise guest and see if we can get a little something going on. So I'll start with you, Matt DaCorte, the ring announcer extraordinaire.
All right. Well, obviously, the Flash is in the name. So the one thing I've always wanted to ask you, and I don't think I ever have, is are you a fan of the character of the Flash? The superheroes, anything like that? Was that an influence in creating your character?
Oh yeah, for sure. I remember I sat down with, I think it was actually Roma, when we were trying to decide what we could do, and we were just thinking of different stuff. Of course, related to speed, but I've always been into the superhero thing. But like at the time, Ricochet was like currently doing that exact superhero gimmick, literally in WWE, and I was like, I don't want to bootleg off like the Ricochet Will Ospreay type thing. So we were thinking of just words related with speed, so you can't use that for copyright, of course. So I just thought, what if we just use Flash? Like it flowed well, and we just added Waller, which is my actual last name. So you got a connection of both, and it just came together like that. So yeah, it was pretty short, actually.
Cool.
Not only that, but Mr. Flash Waller has a young career right now, but I've always kind of picked at him a little bit. Where's your fan page? Fans like fan pages. So he just made a fan page, actually. Could you tell us how we could find your fan page, Mr. Waller?
You want me to be honest with you? I put out on my Facebook earlier. I don't even know how that works. I don't know how I did it. I'll be honest with you. I just stick with normal Instagram, Twitter, and just my main page of Facebook. I don't know why I need to make a second page. I don't understand it, but I know you can search up Justin Waller on any platform and it'll come up. But I don't understand what the fan page is about, but I guess I'll understand eventually. But I'm trying. Everyone doesn't believe me. They're like, at your age, you should know how to use it all. I was like, I don't. Honestly, don't.
Well, I don't see a whole lot of content coming out of that fan page right now, I'll tell you that. But
Yeah.
what I will do is I'll go find it and I'll share it on my page so we can get it out there and maybe push it a little bit more, get some likes on it or follows, however your page is working. I'd like to go to Mr. Troy Martins. I know you don't know a whole lot about Mr. Waller, but do you have any questions for Mr. Waller at all?
Yeah, I have a couple. Are you a heel or a face?
I'm a face at PAPL. Yeah, I'm a face.
Face? Okay.
Yes.
The Woo Crew needs to know how to respond to you when we see you live.
Yeah.
If you're a heel, you wouldn't like it by the end of the night. So ask Erick, he'll tell you. My second question was, what made you want to get into professional wrestling at such a young age, and where do you see your career going from here on out?
Well, I've been watching wrestling since I was about 8, and I always like watched it in the sense of wanting to do it and not just kind of enjoying, if that makes any sense. Like I watched it and I was into it a lot, but I was like, I want to do that. So of course, like anyone, especially I was like 15 at the time, and I go to my mom and I was like, I want to be a pro wrestler. And of course, they just laugh it off. Like, okay, that's cute, like let's get a job 9 to 5, get a degree, do that stuff. And it was about by like freshman and sophomore year of high school that I finally drilled to her. I was like, let's not going to college because school isn't for nothing. Like school was not in any shape or form. Like I made my debut when I was in my freshman year of high school, and it was crazy because it was like all the stress of getting into wrestling pushed onto high school. So like it was so hard to get through school, starting off, wrestling and stuff like that. So of course, but the school that I went to was very pushing college. So I had to like prove how wrestling is a career, you can make a living off of it, and yada yada, all that stuff. So it's just been one whirlwind, and I didn't see it coming to this. So I have actually no clue where it could take me. So I'm just going with the flow. Whatever happens, happens. To be honest with you.
That's good stuff. Thank you.
Yeah.
Now I'd like to go to Mr. Wright, but not only that. Before we get to Mr. Wright, Mr. Waller, could you just announce to us, and not just using the 3 call letters, could you announce to us some of the promotions that you've worked under already?
I have, of course, I started off at PAPW, Paradise Alley Pro Wrestling. I went up. I did one show, and I think you remember, I did one show at Test of Strength. I did one of their training days. I've done, as you know, Blood, Sweat, and Tears, and XWA, and I'm not gonna lie, March was my most booked month that I've ever had for companies that I haven't been at, and of course it had to get shut down. But I've, you're still in talks because companies are still they're still booking shows because people are still preparing. So, you got stuff on the line, but as of right now, just those 4 that I have under my belt.
Mr. Wright, do you have a question for our surprise guest, Mr. Flash Waller?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll give you a little taste of what I do on Working to a Shoot, my podcast. I typically ask this to all my guests, so I'll shoot it towards you. You're sitting with a group of friends who don't quite understand why you chose to become a professional wrestler. What is the one match that you would show them, whether it's your own or a match that you saw growing up? What is the one match that you would show them to convince them why you became a professional wrestler?
That's a good one.
That's actually an insanely good question. Well, I'll name both. I name a match of mine and of one that I started watching. So when I first got into wrestling, the first match that I watched where I kind of understood what was going on, not just as a fan, was the 2 matches with Rock and John Cena at WrestleMania 28 and 29. Okay. So I started off with WrestleMania 28, where I was still, I was like, however old, like 10 or 11 years old, being a big John Cena fan as everyone was, and watching him lose, and then just being all upset, whatever. And when that year went on until WrestleMania 29, and then I kind of watched their whole feud like come together, and I didn't just watch the match, I watched what they did to build it. If they just had the match, it wouldn't mean anything. It was all the promos that they put out, all the interviews that they did, all the trash talking back and forth that made people want to come back and watch it. So if I say anything, I say just the Rock and John Cena feud. I don't say a match because I watch how it was built. If you just like have Superman and Batman in the last, they just go out, it doesn't make sense. There's a whole built-on story on why. Like, why do they need to fight? And, the rematch was reasonable because Rock was the champ at the time. And, it just came together from the year previous. And that's what I usually say is because I love character work in wrestling. So, I like build-ups, feuds, and reasons to have a match at this fight. You need to have a reason for it, especially for championships and anything like that. And I would say one of my matches that I would show someone is currently, I guess you could say my match with Sebastian Cage, but the one that I've usually showed people was me and Richard Holiday, which was a few years ago, or like about 2 years ago. That was one of my favorite matches at the time because that was like my 4th or 5th match, and it was just that's what changed me. It was like I still have that feeling where I'm still trying to get to the ring and have fun, but I kind of wait for the 3 count. I've told people this when I train, but I'm getting to the point where I'm going out there and I'm just like I'm literally doing the thing that I sat down on the couch and watched TV. I need to let that sink in real quick and not be all nervous and stuff. So I showed my match with Richard Holiday because he just made me just zone out and forget about everything and just have fun in the ring, and it was definitely a life-changing experience for me.
Awesome. Wow, that was a fine answer, and I'm so glad that you brought up Richard Holiday, and I'm going to stick with Mr. Wright for a second here. Mr. Wright, I know you're familiar with Richard Holiday and what he's become, an MLW part of the dynasty with Hammerstone, MJF, really has come into his own character and taken that character and absolutely has shot and ran with that thing, boy. Holy cow. Not only that, he's come out with a brand new shirt called Rarefied Air, for crying out loud. So, I mean, he's got a lot going on. But you see a talent like Richard Holiday. He came out of Paradise Alley Pro Wrestling out of East Haven. That's his home base, and he always comes home to these smaller shows. The Friday Night Alley fights. He'll just show up, hang out, check out what's going on, just to come back home. He's on their bigger shows or what have you, going against some fine talent, Dominic De Niro, Rick Recon. I mean, I can go on and on. But hearing a name like Richard Holiday with such a young talent like Mr. Waller, doesn't that make you feel good, though? Don't you feel that wrestling is actually in a good place when you can hear that a guy like Richard Holiday is really trying to elevate a very young, talented Mr. Waller very, very early in his career? That was to you, Mr. Wright. I apologize if I did not say that.
I'm sorry. I thought you said Waller. So I'm I'm gonna have to ask you to ask the question again.
No, that's okay. Richard Holiday taking a young Flash Waller in his home promotion and really rising him without, no drama, no politics. I think wrestling is at a good place when you see guys like that doing such things with young talent.
And I wish to see that more nowadays. You get these guys that have moved on in their careers, elevated their careers, so to speak, and they come back to their home base, like you said. And I would love to see it more, that putting over the young talent that's trying to work their way up in the business. Teach these kids parts of the business that they don't know about yet. And I think it's fantastic what Holiday did for Mr.
Big Juicy, Mr. Wright sold me, so I'm going to move on to you. So I know you're not kind of, you kind of know maybe who he is and such. Do you have any questions for Mr. Waller?
I mean, I guess my biggest thing is worker to worker, you'll have those matches where you walk away from them and you're like, damn, that was not my best. I find myself getting really, really hard on myself, and then I find myself in a funk. How do you kind of take, maybe not your best matches and kind of navigate past it to get back to where you need to be?
Yeah, that's real. A lot of people ask that. I personally hate watching my own matches as much as any wrestler does. Most wrestlers hate watching their matches.
Always.
And the one match, this will surprise Don and Matt, because the one match that I thought that I absolutely did awful on was actually my match with Kate. And
really,
yeah, I had it, and it was done, and I was just that felt really bad. It felt I wasn't right. So then I go back and I watch it, and I go backstage, and I guess people were saying, "Oh, good match, whatever," just because it'd be nice. But I watch it back, and I was like, okay, I'm watching it as a fan. I try watching matches as a fan and not as watching it as myself, because if you watch for example, if I watch one of the Havens matches, or if I watch Big James match or Holiday's match, I watch it as a fan. I may know what they're doing, but I still watch it as a fan. When I watch my matches, I try to watch it as in just and try to enjoy it, because it's who was the main quote is you're your toughest critic no matter what. You could have a match that everyone will absolutely love, for example, the Sebastian Cage match. I still think it was a cool match, but you watching me, the feeling inside is that it wasn't that good. But I think the best, even though it's not something that wrestlers like to do, the best thing to do is watch your match, because it's how you learn. Because you may also think that a match is really good and it ends up being the worst match you've had after you watch it. So there are things that not everyone sees. So personally, me, I just hate watching my matches. That's just how I am.
Oh, I cringe.
That was a fine question, Juicy. Staying in the realm of the peers, which I loved, and that was amazing. Because when you walk away from a bad match, I really think, because especially that cage match, Mr. Waller, your nerves are so built up because you're like, oh my God, this is a high-profile match for me, and I think the nervousness kind of takes over your whole psychological being at one point in time, and it kind of carries over even to post-match when it's all a fucking blur. I can't even imagine what you guys and girls go through in that ring. It's got to be an absolute blur at many a time when you get out of that ring after the match. You're like, okay, I remember this and this, but I don't remember a lot of what just freaking happened. Because it just goes by so quickly, and you're like, bam, 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 bam. You know what I'm saying? I think. Fine question. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Sorry, if I can go one more. The one match that whole thing revolves around was my whole thing with Sammy Diaz at Alley Fights. I think you remember that, Don. Mm-hmm. For a few months, whenever I talk to anyone, they're like, it's just Alley Fights with Flash versus the Firm. That was it. Whether it was me and Elijah Six, Dave Bricks, Rich, it was all of them. I think it was because I think that was my first ever actual, if you want to use the word rivalry or feud in wrestling, because we had so many matches together. And after the first one, I knew who Sammy Diaz was from Test of Strength, and I was like, oh, this is cool. I'm getting to work with one of their guys. And then they wanted to keep doing it. I had to watch the matches because you can't have the same match every time. You have to think of different things to do, and so I think it was the third match. It was I think all of them were for the title, but the first one I had was where I went off the top. I actually hit him with my finish, and on the 2 count, Jake pulled Bill out of the ring, and everyone said backstage, everyone was like, we all took the monitor out of the wall, but you got everyone. Like, I think that's the best feeling. You don't just get fans, but if you get people, like if you get wrestlers in the back, that's the best. Like, that's the best feeling you have. And those were also matches where I was like, okay, I'm ready for the 3 count. Like, when's it gonna come? Like, that's what I look forward to, which is not that good until I watch the match back and I'm like, okay, that was a cool match. But like, I think also with Sammy Diaz, like I started to have fun for like wrestling Sammy Diaz because we did it so many times. So it's like enjoyable every week. Even though, not enjoyable to work with the firm, how the firm can be done. So.
Oh God, we hate to use those 2 words on this show too. The firm. Oh my God, Mr. Wright, the way you just heard Mr. Waller speak, looking back at his matches, learning from his experiences, thinking you could have had a good match, but in all reality, it might have not been that good. Or I had a real shit match, but it actually might have been one of your best matches. Hearing a young talent, you being in the business, my friend, you right now have a young career in the business. Do you find correlations with what he's saying, even though you're not like a wrestler in the ring?
Oh, all the time. I'll find myself at the commentary table miscalling a move or even as a ring announcer botching somebody's announcement as they come to the ring, and that will just stick with you throughout the entirety of the show. And I know it's a shorter span for a wrestler because they're only in the ring for so long, but for me, it's just like, don't screw this one up. Don't screw this one up. Don't screw this one up. It's on a constant repeat because you made that one mistake. You don't want to compound it by making more.
Yeah. I try, and I've never said this on this show. Flash Waller took a digger. Hopefully, there he is.
He's back.
I've never used this correlation on this show. I usually use music and wrestling as a very similar thing in both worlds. But I'm going to use a correlation I've never used. And figure skating, when a figure skater falls on their ass and gets right back up with a smile and just keeps that thing running, I find that in wrestling too, because, dude, you cannot let it hit your head, because if you do, and if you're only 1 minute or a minute and a half into your match, no matter how long it is, you are so screwing yourself for the rest of that match. So you got to jump off the ice, put a smile on, and do your thing. So I feel everything of what you guys are saying. I want to get to Mr. Hunting, friend Erick. I know this has been a long journey to get to you, my friend, but we've got some fantastic information about Mr. Waller. Please, sir, do you have something you'd like to ask Flash?
I have a question, but I'd like to start out with a comment, if I could. Again, I've seen you because of Center Ring, and the first time I saw you, you were a guest on the show, and that episode, you seemed to me very uncomfortable. You were very quiet. You were, you didn't give out a lot of information. It was kind of like one-word answers or whatever. You've grown from then to now. Today, you're so smooth. You're giving out information. No ums, no ahs. I and ah, but I'm not in the business, so it doesn't matter.
I can agree with that 100%. Yeah.
But you seem to find your comfort zone in this short amount of time, and I applaud you for that. That all being said, that all being said, my question is, you're a high flyer. The obvious answer is probably Rey Mysterio, but who would you pattern your style after, or who you really like to pattern your style after?
Took my question. Oh man.
Well, I feel like that's people usually ask me that a lot, and I think of it as, because how Donald relates a lot of things to music, and I don't know if a lot of people notice about me, but what I used to do before wrestling, kind of still do. I'm also a magician. I do card magic. I used to do that for a living before wrestling. So I relate magic so much to wrestling in the sense of you take different techniques and you throw them into one. And some people are like, my idol is Ricochet. My idol is, you can say Tommy Dreamer, all the ECW. You give a wrestler, but I take different things that guys do and I throw them together. I think it was like Ricochet, but when he was Prince Puma and Lucha Underground. Like his moveset in Lucha Underground was unreal. And I also look at Will Ospreay from NJPW, especially now. Like he's gained like 150 pounds, and he's like a heavyweight now, and he's still doing the stuff that he was when he was a cruiserweight, which is what amazes me the most. And so like currently, I've always liked Finn Balor, always. His stuff from Japan and also now into WWE. I feel like he's pulling more of the NJPW stuff out in NXT now because he's got more leeway to do what he wants. He's getting to have those 5-star matches with some of the guys that are out there now. But like the main thing for my moveset was like mainly like Ricochet and Will Ospreay. Those guys are the ones that like I take out of. Like I watch some stuff that they do and I'm like, that's cool. And like I try and make it my own. Because like the worst thing that a wrestler can do is like do a move and you're like, oh, that's so and so's move. You want to try and make something your own.
Right.
Yeah,
A follow-up question, if I could.
Yeah.
You were a magician for a living before wrestling. At 12 years old, you were doing magic for a living?
Yeah,
You're a kid still.
Yeah, I am. I'm turning 19 in November. So, like, yeah. I never say that because I remember when I first started wrestling, I was 17, and whenever I'd wrestle someone, they were like, oh, like they want to know you. So I'm like, oh, I'm 17. They're like, I can go to jail for wrestling. Like, I don't want to wrestle. I'm getting like, you're a kid. Like, I'm beating up a minor. Like I literally started so young in wrestling, and like when I first got like, I feel like I got a magic kit when I was 8 years old, and again like wrestling, I watched it to want to do it. So when I was 8, I had the little kits that you have, but then I started getting into like card magic, and I did a few shows in middle schools, and I did a show at my high school. I used to have a website, and I used to do like parties and stuff like that, and I strayed away more when I got into wrestling, and I tried to keep my mouth shut as much as I could because the second I would say that I did that, it would be like, okay, that's your gimmick, go. Now I didn't want that. That was the last thing I wanted. So I kept my mouth shut until like years in, and then I go to Mancini and Roma, and they're like, "Why didn't you tell me that when you first started?" And they're like losing their mind, like they're thinking it could have been this big thing, and I'm like, I didn't want it. Like I didn't want you fire out of my hands like what they wanted. But like some people try that, that's fine, but I on the side. And like it's funny because I do stuff now backstage with some of the boys, and I don't tell them I'm doing anything. I just use shit to scare the shit out of them, and it's hilarious. I usually do it with the guy that I'm wrestling before our match. Then when he gets in the ring, he's like, "Okay, listen, I'm not gonna do anything." Like, it's funny. It's funny. I'm starting to have fun with it now, but yeah, I used to do like parties and whatever. Like if people had like a family gathering and stuff like that, but now I'm just 100% into wrestling, but I still do it if I just for fun on the side.
Mr. Waller, that is such a fine point, and I want to stress fine because that's exactly what was going to happen. They were going to make you the fucking illusionist, or they're going to make you some kooky fucking magician thing, and you knew that, and I am so glad. I applaud you for taking that into consideration because that could have been one of those kooky ideas where, like, I like to ask on my interviews, did you have a kooky first gimmick like the Christmas creature when Kane dressed up like a fucking candy cane? You would have been one of those guys, my friend. So I applaud you for taking yourself out of that formula. No, I know we're running about an hour here. We usually like to run about an hour, maybe a little bit more. But we feel nowadays attention span, you see about an hour and a half, you're like, I'll watch some of it. I don't want to watch the whole thing. So we like to have people watch the whole thing. But I do want to get Mr. Troy Martin because he's been a new addition. He's only done a few of these roundtables with us. And he always has excellent questions and great information and such. So I want to go to him for one more question to Mr. Waller because I'm sure he's got something in his tank besides the whole moveset. Do you have anything else that you would like to say to Mr. Waller before we get going, sir?
Well, our friend Erick took my question. I was going to ask him that about what his style was patterned after. But you said that you're a face. Have you ever been a heel, and would you want to do that in the future?
Ooh, another.
Yeah, that's a question. I feel like, especially at PAPW, and Don knows, I feel like it would be impossible for me to turn heel. And I'm just not like, if you just look at me, I don't heel, which I can say that. Like most guys are like, oh no, I'm a heel, and like 4'11", like 100 pounds. Like I don't look like a heel. I don't. I couldn't pull it off. And like I've been talking to some guys just as jokes, but like if I turned heel, it would be like the biggest heel because like it'd be least expected, and Matt would agree that it would be least expected.
Oh yeah.
But anytime soon, I really don't think so. But of course, I feel like when everyone starts cutting promos, they all just come out as heel first. You can't really cut like a face promo. Everyone's just like screw this guy and talk crap about everyone. And that's how it all started. But I've never really worked a heel match. When I first went up to XWA, I was for a little bit. And then, it just flowed into being a babyface. Because I've never wrestled a match where I've either wrestled someone big than me, or like everyone's always been. I've never been the bigger man in a match. Like when I was with Sebastian Cage, that was the most equal it's ever been. Like I did have one match up at XWA, which was a lot of fun. So, but I've like 3 times at XWA, and that's really it. So, like turning heel, I don't really think so anytime soon. But you never really look it happen.
Well, you're young. We'll see how it goes.
If you turn heel.
Yeah.
Once the crew sees you, we'll decide whether you're a heel or face. So.
Yeah.
Now, I just want to describe the Woo Crew for the folks that don't know who the Woo Crew is. It's about 5 or 6 strong. They come in as fans. They're very loud. They're very proud. They make their own unique chants, and they know, you know that they are there from a mile down the fucking road. Houses from afar will know when the Woo Crew is in the house. So I just kind of wanted to give you that description of who the Woo Crew really is. Again, loud and proud fans. When they go to shows, they're there. And the promotions that they do go to, love having them there because that's what we fans like to do. We like to jazz the bad guys and lift the good guys and have a lot of fun in doing it. But during that process, that dance that I like to talk about between the fans and wrestlers, that gives energy to those bad guys and those good guys. And that gives us energy, and it goes back and forth, and it makes for an amazing event. So the Woo Crew, fine guys to have at an event, and except if you're at Test of Strike because it's too fucking small. But besides that, I would really, and I know at the top of this show, we had a little kind of ring announcer static going on. So this is what I'd like to try to do.
There we go.
This is what I would really like to try to do here. We have 2 fine. That's what we do. We sort of pot. And as my friend Erick says, I do like to poke the bears generally. Now, what I'd like to do, since we have 2 superstars right here, we have one Miss Big Juicy, we have one Mr. Flash Waller. I would like, because Mr. DaCorte is very familiar. He's announced both fine superstars. So what I would like to do is have Mr. DaCorte, if you both are up to this, because I think this would be a great ending. Mr. DaCorte, you announce Mr. Flash Waller into the ring as he would be coming out through the curtain. The music is going. The kids, and I do mean the kids, are cheering for my man Flash Waller, let me tell you. And then once that is all done and over, I would hope that we could get Mr. Wright to do the same thing to one Big Juicy. Bring her into the ring. The music is kicking. The kids are really into Big Juicy, let me tell you that. And they do these family-friendly events. So if we could get this happening, first off, Mr. DaCorte, are you up for this?
Oh, absolutely. I just moved into another room because I live in a condo complex, so I didn't want to scare the neighbors too bad. So
that was a rhetorical question. First off, second off, Mr. Wright, are you up for this, my friend?
I'm game for anything. Let's do it.
Yes, I love this. So right here on Turn the Pot, the fan roundtable, we are going to have an announce off, if you will. That's what we're going to do. We're going to hashtag it announce. You know, that's the name of the show too, because I named the show everything different. Announce off. What I'd like to do is bring in Matt DaCorte, stage front. The spotlight is on you. Announce Mr. Flash Waller. The fans are here. The ambiance is going. The music is kicking. And here comes Flash Waller out the curtain.
All right, and just a preface here too. This is the first time I've done this since roughly March 6th, ironically enough. So,
one thing before you go,
it's a little rough, but
March
one
6th.
thing before you go, Big Juicy, where do you hail from?
Westfield, Mass.
Westfield, Mass. Thank you very much. Okay, go right ahead.
all right.
I haven't heard this.
Ladies and gentlemen, now making his way to the ring, hailing from the Speed Force. He weighed in tonight at 165 pounds. This is the Speed Sensation, Dustin Flash Waller.
Yeah, baby! Yeah, was awesome. The Speed Force. I love the Speed Force. Hailing from the Speed Force. I love that part of it.
Game chills,
That felt good. That felt damn good.
We've heard that in months. Jesus.
Wow, that was fantastic. Now, and I know again he's familiar with the talent, and I know I hope it's not home field advantage. Mr. Wright, the floor is yours. The spotlight's on. The crowd is here. The curtain's about to open. The music is kicking. And look at our beautiful Ms. Big Juicy. Please take it away, sir.
And his opponent, she hails from Westfield, Massachusetts. She weighs in at none of your business. Big Juicy.
Awesome. That was great. That was great.
That was awesome.
It's a
Put
tie.
that on the
It's
show
raw.
sometime, man. That would be a lot of fun. Going back and forth like that.
Oh my goodness. Hey, you announcers, no announcers, I would figure, and as I did on the fan roundtable with the ladies, reach out to a couple announcers. Let's have a bunch of announcers, and we'll do a roundtable of the fine announcers that are on the scene, because I only know a couple. If you gentlemen know a couple and would like to do something like that, please reach out. Let me know. Hit me up, and let's make a date and get that together. That would be fantastic.
I'm going to say it again. Book it.
Absolutely, man. I'm all in on that.
Yeah. Let's do that, because not only that, we did a zebra week. I never had a zebra roundtable per se, but I did a zebra week where we had some fine referees on our industry and in our local scene, and man, that was a lot of fun that week. I'll tell you. But man, you guys were absolutely fantastic. I'm not picking a winner because they were both amazing. That was definitely a draw, and I will tell you, fine pipes by both gentlemen. One Mr. Matt DaCorte, one Davis Wright. You guys did a fine job. And my two favorite parts, the Speed Force always gets me, and on Mr. Wright's part, none of your business. That was awesome. What a fantastic time we had on the roundtable, my friends. Pre-hitting that record button, we were laughing. We were having a lot of fun. We hit that record button, and we've had nothing but a lot of laughs, a lot of fun. And not only that, we got to know one Mr. Wright. I didn't know shit about him. I do now. So look up the fine companies he mentioned earlier in the program. We spoke with Mr. Matt DaCorte. We got a little bit more insight of him because we love Matt DaCorte. We got some major insight from our very surprised guest, our very special surprise guest, Mr. Flash Waller. And I want to start right here. Thank you for spending the time coming in, having some fun, answering some questions, and just being a great sport, hanging out with us and with a lot of laughs. I appreciate that, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh, shit. Where did he
Wow,
go?
talk about dropping the mic.
Oh, there he goes.
What's going on? No,
No soul die Waller. My God.
it doesn't want me. It doesn't want me to- No, I was saying thank you very much for having me. I feel like we're just getting started, to be honest with you. I'm just.
We are, my friend, and that's the way it feels though when we're on the round table, because it's filled with a lot of love and a lot of friends, and we just get chit chatting, and that's why I was 6 minutes late getting you in. We were chit chatting. So I really want to thank you for your time. I appreciate it. Yeah, friend Erick, come on in.
If I could just take a selfish moment, Don.
Yes, please.
Today is a special day for me. Today is my 3rd anniversary of coming to of going to my first PvP show, of going to independent wrestling. Today is the 3rd anniversary of that first event. If it weren't for that event, I wouldn't have met guys like Foggy. So then I wouldn't have met guys like you, Don, or Big Juicy, or Troy. That first event was a huge thing for me because we walked in there. We didn't know who to cheer. We didn't know who to boo. We had Bobby Ocean in our lap, literally. My youngest daughter was scared by Wild Man Congo. I mean, we felt every emotion in 3 hours, and we said, we're coming again next month. And I've missed maybe 2 or 3 events in 3 years. I've found other promotions, but, you know, like Troy, I know he can say it as well. His heart and soul is PvP. But, you know, we venture outside of our home. And if it weren't for that first event, so saying that, I have to say thank you to Perry Von Vicious, because if it weren't for him, I wouldn't have been to that first event. So I'm going to put him over on that because of personal reasons. But he's the reason we went to that first event, and I haven't looked back yet. Anybody who knows me now knows that I'm pretty much all about wrestling and independent wrestling for the most part. There's a reason why I have over 50 independent wrestling shirts. Put it that way. I love it. I love the guys and the girls, and I love guys like guys and girls like the fans that I know. You know, like you, Don. Like I could go on and on, but I don't leave anybody out. So it's my anniversary for it, but I want to thank everybody that I've gotten to meet in the 3 years. So that's my little selfish moment, Don. Thank you.
Not at all. Don't feel it's a selfish moment, my friend. We love to celebrate those things because now look at where we're at. We've met some fine. Not only we've met the fine talent and get to like intermingle a little bit more than we ever thought we would be able to. But look at what we do, my friend. We're in the middle of a fucking quarantine. The world has been locked down, but yet we get together and we hang out as friends and we still talk wrestling. And without wrestling, we couldn't talk wrestling. So not a selfish moment, not at all. And I applaud you walking into there because you never know what the hell you're going to get out of wrestling. And I did the same thing, my friend. You just never know what's going to happen.
One of the first things I heard was, damn Kulik. Woo! I'm like, what the hell am I getting myself into? I'm like, who does this guy think he is? And I'm still wondering who this guy thinks he is, but he's one of my favorite people.
It's funny you say that because when Bob Thorpe, he hasn't been to a wrestling show in 22 years. He went to Battlefront and he sat directly across from me, across the aisle where they come down for the entrance. I was in the front row here. He's in the front row here. He saw me doing my bit. And the whole time he told me after the fact, I didn't know whether they were going to fucking stomp you into the ground because your mouth would just not stop, or you were actually part of the show. I couldn't decipher which one it was until about maybe intermission. And then I'm like, okay, I think he's really part of the show. So those are the fun times we get to have at the shows and make those relationships and connections. So I'm so glad that you said that, Erick, because without those connections, going to that first show and just putting a question mark on going somewhere, trying something different or something you like but never went and checked it out, like a wrestling event like that. That is what we like on stirring the pot here, because it's all about friendship. It's all about networking. making friends. Look, we've got Big Juicy on here. We've got Flash Waller. We've got Matt DaCorte. And now we have a new friend who's a personality in the wrestling world. We have Mr. Davis Wright. I mean, come on. This shit just doesn't happen very easily. So it's a lot of those connections that we made. And without it, Eric, I'll reiterate, without meeting those people, we wouldn't have these fun times in our lives. And I know I'm fucking rambling a lot right now. And I want to bring this to a close because if I don't, we're going to go on for another hour. So, with that being said, this was Stirring the Pot with my very special guests on the round table today. A fine Wednesday evening it was. We have one, Matt DaCorte. Thank you, sir. I appreciate your time. We have one,
Always a pleasure.
Eric. Thank you for playing a little bit of hooky and coming in and hanging out with us. I appreciate your time, sir. We have one, Big Juicy. Always love Big Juicy on our show. Very love her faces. Her expressions are money. Money, I say. Thank you, Big Juicy, for spending the time with us. I appreciate it.
Anytime, Don.
Mr. Troy Martins, I know you were representing the Woo crew on your own today, and I applaud you for that, my friend. Thank you for coming in, spending the time with us.
Anytime. I love it.
We have a new friend that we've met. I didn't know jack about Davis. Didn't know nothing. But, man, we know quite a bit. And before we do go, Mr. Davis, I just want you to plug your podcast, what you have on, so we can go check out what you got going on right now.
Absolutely. It's called Working to a Shoot. It's available on all podcast platforms. Wrestler interviews, watch-alongs. I even did a referee roundtable myself. So go ahead and check that out.
Oh, no shit, man. I definitely got to look at some of that stuff. Mr. Waller, Mr. Juicy, Mr. DaCorte. I mean, hey, we've got three personalities right here. Maybe you guys can do a little messaging and see what's going on over there.
Always looking for a new people to talk to.
Absolutely. And I want to end this with our very special surprise guest today. I love surprise guests. Mr. Flash Waller came in. Thank you for spending the time with us, sir. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me, as always, Don.
Thank you.
You guys were absolutely fantastic. We talked wrestling. We talked promotions. We talked Mr. Waller. We talked Mr. Wright. And not only that, but we found out that it's friend Erick's 3rd year anniversary. Happy anniversary, my friend. We love hearing those things. And again, I could keep talking. So let's not. And this is the end. Take none. We're all done. We are out of here. Fuck yeah, the round table, baby.